Yeah, I like that.
What is going on, people? It's Matt from Liquid Loans. In this video, I've got a very special guest, an exceptional content creator in the Hex and PulseChain ecosystem. This guy's passion and energy is pretty infectious. So, with no further ado, the one, the only, Mr. Matty Crypto.
Man, what's shaking?
What's going on, man? Thanks for coming on the stream.
Dude, I was getting pumped up there just for your intro. I've heard other people talk about the intro, but as you're sitting back in the green room, just got the head nod, and I love it, man. Well done with that one.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it gets people hyped up. It's quite a good, cool little intro, man. I love your content, your energy, your positivity. You're so authentic. This is exactly what the crypto space needs. More of this energy. And I also scrolled back through your channel. You've been creating content like since 2017, man. You're an OG.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a long ride, and I'm really guilty about not doing as much content as I want to. In your mind, you think you want to get on like every day or every week, and sometimes just life just keeps you from doing things, especially when you spread out. I'm spread out on a bunch of different other things, and I really need to kind of hone in and do more content because it's something I really, really enjoy. So thanks for reminding me. I got some old stuff on there, but yeah, I've been in crypto a long time, and I've been wanting to make content because when I look at other content, even from years ago, that's what really got me excited for crypto. You can look at crypto and study it, but until you really look at other creators that doing stuff that you like to do, then it really hits home of how important this stuff is, and it becomes infectious just to see faces and to hear people talk about stuff you like.
Absolutely, man. And the way you do it as well, you distill it down to, you're personable, easy to understand, and kind of break it down for the masses, which obviously what happened to you at some point. You obviously watched crypto content and went through that same journey. For the people that don't know who you are, though, I'm sure a lot of people do, but for the ones that don't, can we get a quick bio and background about you and how you got into crypto and all that good stuff?
Yeah, sure. I mean, growing up, even as a really young kid, I'd always wanted to find something that would make me wealthy and free, really. And it wasn't about having 5 homes on the lake or the beach or wanting a Lambo. It wasn't that kind of wealth. It was just something that I didn't want to work 40 years or do something that I didn't enjoy. That was always in the back of my mind. I didn't want to go to work and waste so much of my free time, only to think that maybe at best I'm 65 years old, getting Social Security. It just never was appealing to me. So even really young, I would read, self-help books and get rich quick stuff and sales and real estate. I always was searching for something. Maybe after high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do, like a lot of people. And I didn't like the idea of going to college for something that I may want to do or something that interests me now. So I took a couple of years off just trying to find myself. And I still couldn't find anything that really I was passionate about as far as studying. So I went into something fun. I went to private pilot school, and I wanted to fly like single engine planes. I thought it'd be great. And at least I could do that and then kind of find myself and then get into college that way. So I was doing private pilot school, early 20s, and I broke my hand at about 3 places, and I couldn't do private pilot school anymore. It was really a bummer. And then I looked into the medical field, and I always liked medicine, but I didn't want to go to school for 12, 15 years to be a doctor. So I went into other things, but that was a blessing because I enjoyed the medical field. I like helping people. I like being in the hospital. So I did that, and I traveled a lot in the medical field, sometimes 6 months to a year at individual hospitals. And, that's where I am now. I wanted to do the medical field, and thankfully, just December of last year, 2021, Hex retired me. So I'm just doing Hex and helping people kind of full time.
Nice. And how did you get into Hex?
I was looking into Richard Hart back in, like some people back in the 2017s heard about Richard Hex, and I was one of those people too. And he was talking about, how to better yourself, give a better apology, stop trading, stop alcohol, just really, really good stuff. And I think at the time he wasn't even mentioning crypto stuff. So I don't know how he got into my feed, but I knew about him with a top hat and just his funny clothes. It was great. So I remembered him once he started talking about Hex. And So I guess back my crypto history, I guess I can back up if that's okay, just to kind of explain some of the Bitcoin stuff before I got into Hex. I heard about Bitcoin in late 2010. This is a kind of a painful story, but it's fun. It's a good life lesson for people. It was 2010, maybe September or October 2010. And a
Wow, a long
friend of
time
mine I
ago.
was working with, so this is really early. We're talking,
Mm,
Bitcoin was invented late '08 and really had its genesis in early 2009. So it was doing nothing really in 2010. A buddy of mine I was working with, he was doing medical field stuff too. And he told me, hey, Matt, just look at this Bitcoin stuff. Even if you don't get, I kind of give him a nod. I'm like, man, it just sounds so silly. His pitch, obviously, we were both green into this, and it was really
mm.
silly. It sounded like nerd internet money to me, and I didn't get into it. And at the time, Bitcoin started trading in 2010, and at that time, it was 800ths of a penny. So you're talking 0.0008. It started trading that.
Wow.
So just to put it in perspective, when he told me about this, and I shut it down and didn't get into it. Bitcoin was, if you'd invested $100 in Bitcoin at that time, it would be worth $8 billion. $100 is worth $8 billion at the peak of the Bitcoin,
Unreal.
63,000. So that was crazy to look back on. I'll always, kick myself in the booty for not doing that. But, I remembered him talking to me about this thing. I kind of heard about it and, like I said, blew it off. And then a couple of years later, then you start hearing about Bitcoin everywhere. And I was like, oh, that was the stuff. His name was Jamie. Jamie was telling me about. And 2011, I was looking into it. At that time, it was 2011. It was about $1. It ranged from about $1 to $30 in 2011. And I bought heavy in 2012. Well, heavy to me, it wasn't a whole lot of money, but 2012, 2013. And in late 2013, I sold my entire bag of Bitcoin.
Ouch.
I DCA'd and just sell and sell and sell. But you don't know what you don't know. There was nothing else to really compare it to. It was kind of only Bitcoin. And I was thinking, I made, there was trading in 2013 around between $125, and then it jumped to $1,200. So you get these crazy peaks and valleys. And if I only bought at a few dollars, $500-600 seemed like a lot to me. So I cashed out, and then I really regret that because 2013 to 17, I felt like I was getting into everything, scams, and I was trying to chase every little cryptocurrency that was out there. It was tough because during that time it was a lot of the ICOs and listen to friends, and basically you fail and you fail and you fail getting to these scams. And then along came Hex, man. It changed everything in 2019.
I mean, yeah, the patterns that you've gone through, not only in your crypto, but in obviously as a young man trying to find out what you want to do. And then in crypto, they're kind of like fractal patterns, aren't they? You have to make those mistakes. You have to go down the wrong path and say, okay, that's not for me, or that crypto is not for me, or selling too early is not for me. But like you said, you don't know what you don't know. So
Right.
it really is a lot of, you have to take those lessons. And you're someone, by the sounds of it, who's been searching since the beginning. Like, you didn't want to work till 65 and pick up your social security. You didn't want to do a job you didn't enjoy. You knew there was more out there. And I think there's kind of pain either way, right? Because if you just follow the herd and don't do what you want to do, or know there's more for you, you're in pain, because obviously there's a bigger life out there for you. But then following that, that path, which is different to everyone else, you're going to bump into these obstacles and experience pain. But the good thing is you pick yourself up and you've learned from them. And obviously from having that early experience with Bitcoin, now I'm sure you've got diamond hands of steel compared to what you had.
Yeah,
10
that's a
years
good
ago.
point. And I think people miss out on it right now. I tell people, especially people in their 20s and 30s, that you're so lucky to be in Hex and Pulse at this age, especially if this is your first crypto experience. If you've heard about crypto, but you were introduced to cryptocurrency with Hex and Pulse, you don't realize how lucky you are, because you haven't had that experience of failing, having scams, and reaching out to people saying, hey, I think this one sounds good. You want to check this out? And then they get burned and you just feel awful. So the people that don't have to go through that pain, you're so fortunate. But like you're saying, I didn't want to wait till I'm in my 60s. And people that I work with, I would try to tell them about crypto, Hex in particular, for a couple of years now. And it's funny how so many people, I guess 9 out of 10 people just blow it off and say, I just don't have time to learn about this. It's too complicated. It's too hard, especially when you start telling them to study this and, look at the MetaMask wallet. Make sure your seeds are this. All these words are so foreign to people that they just don't take a chance to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like learning a new language, isn't it? Seed phrase, changing networks, hash rates, all this stuff. It is like learning a new language at the beginning. And we were just talking about this actually in the green room. There's so much content now on Hex and Pulse. What do you think? Do you think we go viral by just, creating more and more content, but making it as simple to understand as possible?
I do. And right now we have really good content creators who do
Mm,
that. A couple of years ago when Hex was at its infancy, we just didn't really know how to explain it too well because it was really detailed back
mm,
when it first started. And that brings me back to like the origin, kind of my genesis with Hex. I'd talked to Richard Hart in Telegram back in early 2019. He had just started talking about Hex. At that point, it was Bitcoin Hex. And I
right.
remember hitting him up on Telegram all the time. And at that point, he was really reachable. Now he's just, the guy's a superstar and he's probably getting 1,000 DMs a day. But
Yeah.
we talk pretty often about that. And I remember the website on Hex and the way he talked about this, he just seemed really different from other CEOs or founders. He seemed super smart and he didn't seem like he wanted to pump a bag and then get out of it forever. It just seemed really like a genuine person.
Mm,
And I remember talking to him about this and thinking the website of hex.com, it had so many tokenomics and pumpamentals is what he called it. It was so hard to wrap my head around this. And again, like we
mm,
just said, it's hard to know what you don't know. So when I was going through other cryptos, they seemed pretty simple, buy, sell, trade, but Hex seemed super complicated. So I knew if he did produce Hex the way he wanted to, this would be something really special. So getting into Hex early, before it even launched was a huge blessing. I only wish I would have gotten in a little heavier, but everybody says that. You look at the adoption amplifier and, $150 can get you over a million. I think it was 1.3 million Hex. There was a few
mm,
days. So looking back on that, you don't know. You're thinking
mm.
that you get this much on this day, but in a couple more days or a week, would it be 2 million? Would it be 3? So there's never any great time to do that. It's really important to learn how to DCA to dollar cost average and to something like this, especially with Pulse and PulseX coming up. If you miss these sacrifice phases, learn how to DCA, reach out to someone and really learn about that because that's a good solid way to get a win.
Yeah, hindsight's 2020, and you look back and you think, oh, I should have put thousands of dollars in or tens of thousands of dollars. But again, like you said, you don't know what you don't know. You can obviously take learnings from the past and apply them to future experiences. But still, even though now looking back, it's like it's a no-brainer, right? You'd remortgage the house and put it all into Hex if you
I
knew.
thought about that, man. I really did. Well, not remortgaging the house, but really taking a loan out. But
Mm,
Richard, thank God, he saved me from myself on that too. And hats off to the guy. He's helped me in so many other ways that are not really financial. Just to stop trading, it was a big deal to me at the time. I was trading. I trade for years, and I kept
mm,
trying to learn how to trade. I was horrible at TA, reading charts, horrible
mm,
at trading. Really, I felt like I was bad at everything. I just needed to get with a community and a crypto that was good. And I was trading up until summer or fall of last year, 2021, and
wow.
absolutely get wrecked and wrecked. And the funny thing about trading, and Richard talks about this, is you'll win and win and win. And you may win a few $1,000s, even tens of thousands of dollars trading. And when you lose all of it. You lose hard. You get a scam
Mm,
wick and you may win a few days and you feel confident what you're doing. I was even using bots and people were telling me about stuff. So I tried a lot of things to try to learn how to educate myself. And I thought I was doing well. And you make a few $100 a day for, 20 or 30 days in a row. It feels good. But then boom, one day within hours, you may wake up and your money is gone. You get liquidated and you don't win or you don't lose 100 or 1,000. You get liquidated, you lose it all. So I'm so thankful he taught me
mm.
not to trade. I haven't traded in over a year now, and it's incredible. It really is a benefit to being in this community and listen to what he says.
Absolutely. I think anyone who's been in crypto for even a short while has done some type of trading, and you're going to get wrecked. It's just gambling a lot of the time, and like you said, you win some but you lose some, and you lose big. Going back to Richard, obviously he's a genius and he's really clever, and you can see that. But when he's on stream and the penny really drops with him, you can see that he's authentic and he does care about people, and obviously that shows from his first his first batch of videos, which was self-help. And obviously he knows that by helping people financially, in fact, you know, you can't help. What did he say before? I saw him talking about it. He's like, yeah, Hex has helped more people than any of my self-help videos, right? Because once people are financially free, then they can really, they've learned delayed gratification through the game theory and all this stuff. So obviously he really cares about making a positive impact, like you said, compared to other crypto founders who are there, you know, just to make a quick buck and then disappear off into the night.
Yeah, and it's funny because he says all the time he's been wealthy, away from crypto in his early 20s. So he's had almost 20 years of being independently wealthy, probably a millionaire at that time. And I say all the time, he doesn't have to do this. What multimillionaire would try to do something like this and devote, I want to say countless hours, because I know the guy puts in 50, 60, 70 hours a day. He used to tell me that he wakes up, he works as long as he possibly can until he has to sleep. So he may grab a sub, but he's just at his computer working. And I think he genuinely wants to create a legacy for himself. I want people to look back and say, I did this, I helped people. And that means a lot because it's not about money to him. And it's important because a lot of founders or people that get into crypto, they may be trying to sell you their crypto. And if it reaches a certain price point, they're okay bowing out. They're not going to stick around when it takes a 90% dump or create things after Hex. If something's bad, he looks at something, it's like, everything sucks. I got to fix a fiat on-ramp. I got to fix an exchange. I got to fix a wallet. I got to fix Ethereum fees. I got to make Pulse. This is not normal. This is really, really rare in a human being to try to fix all these things, not for himself, not for his own wealth, but to make us wealthy and to make us better and to give us our time back. And it's really valuable. He deserves respect for doing that kind of stuff.
Oh, 100%. It's night and day. Like you said, you get founders or people coming out trying to pump a coin or a project. And this guy, like you said, is wealthy, retired since 2003, multimillionaire, multiple businesses that did well. And he's just looking at the system and thinking, no, this isn't good enough. You know what I mean? Just because we can, buy and sell Bitcoin or, we've got some smart contracts on Ethereum, but the gas fees, he's like, no, this isn't good enough. We can do better. And what's exciting is obviously, we're not far by the looks of it from PulseChain, and we'll get into that in a minute, but how it's bleeding out in a positive way to the rest of the community, right? Other people are taking the baton from him and, no admin keys, true DeFi, just like Hexes and just like, PulseChain and PulseX and everything. So it's really, really exciting that obviously we've got this guy who's out there, just a shining light on the hill, but also he's influencing Hexicans and even the PulseCans and all the new people that are coming in to take ownership of your lives and do something good in the world. I wanted to ask you, because obviously PulseChain, it seems imminent. What are your thoughts on it? Are we around the corner from it?
Oh man, I'm so happy with PulseChain. It feels like, and people get, it's weird because when Bitcoin Hex was out, people kept waiting. When is Hex? Is it going to really start? Is it going to happen? Because nothing was out there. And he proved himself to create this really amazing product. So now that he wants to create Hex because of the outrageous, disgusting gas fees of ETH, people are still that way, especially new people. Those of us, myself and you and PulseCans and Hexicans that have been around for a few months even, we understand the value of time and waiting, that delayed gratification you were talking about. So I can't be more excited because I know when it is released, the probability of this to be bug-free, to be working correctly is super, super high. One, his reputation's on the line. Pulse is a really big deal for him. If somehow this fails, it gets hacked or has some kind of funky code in it, people that want Hex to fail will pounce all over this. But I think Hex is going to be Pulse is going to be a massive success. And I said before, I think this is going to be the #1 blockchain in all of crypto, maybe by the end of this year, but it's definitely by 2023. There's just way too many things that are going well for this. And you mentioned a couple of seconds ago about the community. It's so hard to put a price tag on community because Hex and Pulse, the community, that it really is something special. I've been in other communities for years, other crypto communities, and this one, it feels like it snowballs on itself. Content creators, streamers. We got Hex merchandise. We had this Hexpo event in Las Vegas. We got PulseChain event, PulseCon coming up in September. Now we got a Hex marketplace. It's crazy how helpful people are. So the launch of PulseChain, when this comes out, I just think it's going to be crazy. The amount of people that are waiting for Pulse to try Pulse, I think it's going to be overwhelming. I think it's going to really take on like the news of the crypto world. People that didn't want to talk about Pulse or Hex, they're going to be forced to.
Yeah, I mean, how how far can you gatekeep it, right? How can you keep gatekeeping it when at some point, even if it's not being shown on the biggest YouTube channel straight away, people are going to find out the system state copy. Hey, you've got SHIB over here, you've got Chainlink, you've got your copy, come and check it out. And when you build something amazing, even if the Cointelegraphs and whatever are going to try and gatekeep you, at some point it will slip through the net. And, I think it's really going to go viral. Have you been playing around with the test net?
I have. It's not something that's, kind of up my alley to do that kind of stuff. I'm so bad at it. But watching, Huddle Dog and Crypto Coffee and people actually play around with that K4K crypto. That's what I'm saying, that the community, they really provide value, because a lot of people don't understand how to go into your MetaMask and change settings. And, it's really overwhelming. You just want to buy Pulse or PulseX and let the price appreciation go up. But to be able to get in a test net and to see what 3-second block times and almost free transactions, these are really, really big deals. It's so attractive to people who may be coming from Ethereum. I've gotten used to working with Ethereum the last couple of years. And when Hex first came out, I didn't feel the gas fees. It was pennies. Even anything under $1 still seems really inexpensive to me. But when you're ending stakes that were put in a year and a half ago, sometimes they're under $1,000 even now. It was just a little bit of Hex making a staking ladder to end a stake that's worth, $1,000, and to have a gas fee to end that stake that's $500 or $600. It's not worth it. People let those bleed, and it's just not something we should be doing. So if Pulse fixes that, man, this is gonna be crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've played around with it a little bit, and just to see those fast 3-second blocks. I mean, when you go into MetaMask and you see the gas fee is like 0.0001 or something.
Yeah.
It's just, it's night and day. And, it's funny how the brain reframes stuff, because like you said, when you first got into Hex and you were using Ethereum, it was pennies. Then gas fees, in the bull run last year went up to something crazy, like $100 sometimes, or even more for a swap on Matcha or Uniswap. And then when they come down to like $20 or $30, you're like, oh, it's not too bad. That's still crazy.
Isn't that weird? I mean, I do that all the time. I'll catch one line to get up in the morning on a Saturday, super late in the morning, Saturday, early Sunday morning. We got to time that. Find myself getting up, setting my phone for like 3 a.m. just so I can make a in stake or a swap that's $20 or $30. I'm thinking, wow, it's really cheap. That sucks to think that's cheap. And it prices out people. And you can't make a Hex stake or in stakes or do a bunch of transactions when they're 15, 20, $30 a piece. It's, the regular person that wants to get into crypto, that heard about Hex or wants to do this. If this is their introduction to crypto, they're going to walk away. So, 6 months or a year from now, when this is all behind us and Pulse is hitting on all cylinders and it's still really inexpensive to transact, people are going to come here and stay. And they're going to stay because of the community and the fees and the speed and the uptime. That's hard to put a price on too. The 100% uptime is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, 100% uptime and just low fees and just fast and not waiting around for transactions. And sometimes, as you've probably had before too, like everyone, failed transactions on Ethereum, which you still got to pay for, obviously, which is just, it's absolutely nuts. And going back to what you said before, sometimes, a lot of the time, explaining crypto to newbies is hard enough, right? So, okay, you've got to get a hardware wallet and seed phrase. And, sometimes you've got to use a centralized exchange, but you should use a decentralized exchange. But then add on, oh, and by the way, when you buy a couple of $100 worth of Hex or Ethereum or whatever, you're going to lose half of that, or a third of that to gas fees. It's just untenable. So PulseChain, I mean, it's just so exciting to see the testnet up and PulseX is working. And I know that all the numbers, they're not real. They're just, they're test numbers just to see how things are going. But you can see staking and the pools and the farms. It's really, really exciting.
And it's a testament that it's real. It's here. People have told me, what if he made Hex and what if he wants to get out? All these, he calls it unimaginable horribles, I think. But that's one of them. I don't think Pulse is real. PulseChain taking way too long. I don't think people really realize how difficult the code behind something like this is. It's crazy. So I'm okay with the delays, man. Make it right, Richard. Get it out there. Have it bug free. Go through all the issues and stuff. You have to do it. But I'm so thankful. We're looking at 2022. I'm thinking, late spring for sure. I don't know, but I'm just shooting in the dark. He said a couple weeks ago or a few days ago, he said something like Pulse is just a few weeks away. So that was refreshing. I don't know if I'm looking into it too much, but to know that it's weeks away is it's nice. And it can't be too many more things that he's doing. I think a version 2B or something's out. They're testing it. The AMM bot is going. So there's not too many more things he has to complete.
I think, like you said, the AMM bots now, I think there's something to do with V3, but it's a lot less than we thought, right? Because obviously everyone was getting antsy. And listen, the immature child in me wanted it yesterday, of course. But when I think about it logically and rationally, of course, you want it done properly and you want it to be working. You don't want there to be inflation bugs or any issues because, like you said, the haters will jump all over it. And obviously everyone's money is at risk as well.
Yeah.
But seeing it, and hearing what he said in that Twitter space, and then obviously seeing the testnet 2.5B, whatever it is, working so well, it's super exciting, man. And after being crippled with Ethereum gas fees and the hex price obviously being retarded by not being able to onboard people, it's like a pressure cooker waiting to blow.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to introduce people. Like I tell people all the time about Hex and PulseChain. They want to get into it and learn about it. But when they do, the first thing they hear from other cryptos, or they do a search of Hex, and this isn't as prominent as it used to be, but they always come back like, is this a scam? People are talking about this. And some of the guy on YouTube said that this was a scam. It's really hard to fight through those things because you have to kind of walk with someone. You got to hold their hand. You got to set up a wallet with them. So I'm hoping in the next 6 months or a year, Richard and this community is going to fix all these things that we need to fix, because we have to make onboarding really, really easy. And, another feather in Richard Hart's cap, I love his attitude about getting things done. He tells us all the time, you go do it. You go do these things. I don't have time to do this stuff. And if you want to do these things, you guys go out and do it. And to our credit, the Hex and the Pulse community, they do that. For instance, we were talking about getting Richard Hart on Joe Rogan. And he said, you guys do it. Reach out. Call who you got to do, the marketing, the people behind that. If you guys do it, I'll be there. And I love that. Use us as a community to create stuff. And then we get behind that in a really big way. We follow each other and we help each other. Like that brand new, just a couple of days ago, the Hex community marketplace that you basically go on there and you look for help. If you want a logo or an intro or somebody to help you with something. Now we got a Hex community, nothing to do with Richard Hart. He just inspired us to create good stuff. And now we have a family atmosphere that we can go and get these things done for him and make this ecosystem that we have almost like a closed loop little world we have, PulseX to swap back and forth, and, obviously Pulse. And there's so many things being built on and in and around the PulseChain Hex ecosystem with, the products he's creating and then the products everybody else is creating. It's so exciting, man. We're getting things done and freeing up him to do the things he needs to do to make this work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if you think that Hex and Pulse and, Richard being around is just about number go up, I think you're missing the bigger picture. Yes, of course, everyone's here for the gains and to change their life. But the self-help, like, the delayed gratification, you go and do it, you build it, because in life, you have to do that. You have to take responsibility for your own life. You can't count on other people to go, oh, it's easy for us on Twitter, isn't it? To be like, Richard, hurry up, release PulseChain faster. But really, let's be honest, it's easy to criticize and tell people to do stuff and point fingers. It's hard to go out there and build stuff. And whether that's creating content, getting the word out there, building new protocols, this takes time, effort, resources. And I just think that the whole system, the Hex and PulseChain ecosystem, is creating a different level of self-development along with financial wealth and life-changing gains. So super, super exciting. And I haven't even seen that Hex marketplace yet. I'm going to have a look at it.
Yeah, I think it's Hex Community. I don't know if it's .com, but it's brand new, man. I was actually looking for someone to create an intro, and someone reached out to me on Twitter. And then I saw that a couple of days ago, like, man, this is awesome, because so many Hex creators, and if you're doing anything Hex related and you want to create something, I would much rather hire someone in the Hex community, in this little family, than go to Fiverr. I've got a project right now, and we hired someone in the Hex community. I had a tweet that said, I'm looking for someone to do X, and I want to hire only a Hexican. So now that we got that one-stop shop, hopefully it works great, and people go there and then, basically sell themselves. Whatever you're good at, post it there, because now it's not just like it's 50 or 100 of us that are into this. There's thousands of people in Hex and Pulse, and a bunch of us are looking to hire people who understand Hex. Like if I would have went to Fiverr to get this thing filled, this person doesn't understand Hex, and people will see through that. It was basically looking for someone to help me on this project I'm doing on Twitter, but to basically do the tweets and take over the social media of that. But if someone's a non-Hexican and knows nothing about this, the Hex community will see through that and go, man, this person doesn't know anything about Hex. And I like hiring another Hexican to do this work because they're really good at it and they know the community. They've got a history. So we keep things in-house. It's beneficial to all of us.
100%. This community is definitely a lot more mature and self, they help each other and they're there for each other much more than other crypto communities. And from what I've seen, and I just think it just, when you put out that good positive energy, it comes back tenfold. So I really think that it's great that people are helping each other and creating marketplaces. And we're still so early, right? Not just over 2 years, 2 and a bit years now, Hex has been going. So God knows where it will be, 5, 10, 15 years down the line. It's just going to be absolutely bananas.
Yeah. And the hard part, I think, is over. And I tell people this all the time, too, that when Hex was first created, like you said, it's only 2 years ago. When it was created, it was such a big unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. Is it going to stick around? Is it going to work correctly? Are the stakes and all the things people talk about, is it going to work? Is Richard Hart going to rug pull? All these horrible things. Now that we got 2 years of a track record, and we know that Pulse is coming out and it's going to be fixed. And, the issues you're talking about, the Ethereum gas fees, that stuff will be fixed on the speed and the transactions and the community. This is going to work. And we see it on testnet. Now that we have the history of Hex and the community, everything working, the price appreciation, the happy stuff, there's a really big chance that Pulse works very, very well and the community grows even more. So my confidence that Pulse is going to be a really big deal, I don't know if it can be higher. It's just almost like a known thing. When Pulse releases and it works, I think a lot of people in other cryptos are going to flock to PulseChain because it works so well.
Oh man, it's like being a kid and waiting for Christmas. It really is.
It is. It really is.
What's going to be your play, man, when it goes live?
That's a good question. I tried to sack into as many things as I could. I think I dabble in almost everything. I was, for the last couple of months, really, really excited about PulseX. I think it's going to be just crazy. The way the buy and burn feature was a big deal to me. But now, the more I think about it, I like the native token, man. And I just came across this just a couple of days ago, thinking how important Pulse is going to be, the actual native token, because people that have the ERC20s will obviously be copied over to PulseChain from Ethereum, and all your ETH, all your ERC20s, the whole system state. But you also get that copy of Hex. So all your stakes in Hex and your liquid Hex come over as well. And I think with liquid loans in particular, not to plug you, show your stuff, but that is a huge play in me going from super bullish or the most bullish on PulseX, which I still am, but to be even more bullish, like my top bull is Pulse now, because liquid loans is going to kind of finish this little gap we had about if the price appreciation goes really high with Pulse, a lot of people may tap out or DCA out 10%, 20% of your bag. But the idea of implementing liquid loans to not sell your Pulse, I don't know how something could be more valuable than other cryptos. If its Pulse is going up and you initiate liquid loans and you use it correctly and you collateralize correctly, and you really don't have to sell your Pulse, dude, that is so powerful to never sell your Pulse. So the price can only go up one way. If everybody gets into liquid loans or holds onto your Pulse, as the price appreciation goes up, you just keep taking a loan. I don't know why you'd ever sell your Pulse. So if that's the case and other people see how well liquid loans is working, they're going to get in liquid loans. So now they're not going to sell their Pulse. So this little perfect, 360, it's just going to go over and over and over. And if nobody sells their Pulse, or, maybe 10, 20% of people sell their Pulse, this is going to be gold. That's why I'm so super bullish on Pulse.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer, man. Even if you don't use liquid loans, if you hold Pulse, it's going to be good for your bags. It's going to help your bags. And just imagine if you knew and you could do, obviously it wasn't even around back in 2011 and 12 when you got into Bitcoin. But imagine if you bought Bitcoin, not only did you never sell it, but you were able to hold on to it and gain liquidity. Not only would you have billions of dollars from the price appreciation, you could have turned it into tens of billions, hundreds of billions, right? From using the liquidity to invest in other stuff. So it really is a no-brainer. And, whether you sacrifice or you didn't sacrifice for liquid loans, or you want to use it or you don't want to use it, it's going to help the whole ecosystem. And, we're super excited about it. And the fact that, you know, people like yourself can see that, because obviously you look at it and you look at, you know, what's happened before by letting go of coins, which if you held on to could have been worth so much more. It just becomes, why would I create a taxable event and get rid of my coins that are never going to give me any more future value?
That's another great point. The taxable stuff is massive. I mean, if PulseChain skyrockets and the stuff you sack for, you know, becomes really, really wealthy, especially in that first year, you know, taxable events, capital gains in the first year are brutal if you take it out. Anything over a year, you get a little bit less of a hit. But I mean, it's true, man. It basically saves you from yourself. And Hex is a great example. You mentioned Bitcoin. Once you hit a certain price point and you're ready to exit, you may sell your bag of Bitcoin. But if you didn't have that, or you had the option not to, that's so beneficial. Hex was a perfect example of that. There were times in Hex where if I wouldn't have been staked, I would have probably sold a bunch of my Hex, because it's hard to have diamond hands when Hex is a fraction of a penny and you see that rise to 50 cents per Hex. It's really hard. But if you're staked and it saves you from yourself, that tokenomics Richard created, where you're staked, you haven't got to worry about price, you're earning Hex, you're getting that yield every single day. I didn't have to worry about selling my Hex. So I got the price appreciation, I got more Hex, and I got the benefit of not selling my bags, because you kick yourself in the buquantas whenever you sell. It doesn't matter if it's 25 cents or 50 cents or $1. You're going to look back when Hex is $5 or whatever it's going to be, and you're going to kick yourself for trying to sell at $1. So liquid loans is one more step that will save you from selling your Pulse, and it's fantastic, man. I don't know if it's something else that I'm more excited about than the idea of putting your Pulse into liquid loans, using that as a non-taxable event, take advantage of these loopholes we've got to take a loan out. And then, you know, we can survive 50%, 90% drops if you collateralize correctly and not worry about this, to not worry about selling your Pulse at whatever price point you've got. Use liquid loans, what it's supposed to be, and just ride this out for years.
Yeah, I really is exciting, the whole system, you know, and it's just, I think Jesse's talked about this a lot. You know, Jesse, my partner in crime, my mentor, he said, you know, when we sell crypto and when we're in a profit, you get a good feeling, right? Oh, I got a 2x or a 10x. But then A, you've got a taxable event, and then B, never again will you get any price appreciation from those coins. You know, they're gone, they're in someone else's hands now. So being able to gain liquidity, not be taxed, obviously not financial advice, depending on where you are in the world, but most debt is free from capital gains tax. And seeing that price go up and up, and come on, nobody can predict the future, but PulseChain has some very, very tasty fundamentals in it.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people will sell their Pulse at a 10x or a 50% or 50x. And you and I talked about this in a stream a couple of days ago. I jumped on with you guys to celebrate,
thanks
I guess, the end of the SAC phase. And we talked about how in legacy finance, you got stocks or a Roth IRA. If you do a 10x or a 50x in that, it's unheard of. But in crypto, it's very common. You just need a really good crypto with a great community and a good use case. And this can go crazy. So when Pulse does a 10 or a 50x or a 100x, which it will, I'm not going to be fazed by this. You know, I'm going to keep doing liquid loans. And even if I wasn't in liquid loans, I'm not going to sell my Pulse at 100x, because the future of this is so bright and it's so rare. When you've got all these things came together, we're super lucky. Like I said, a founder, the community, great products, a really good market fit. I don't know what else we can do. Richard Hart talks about how can he win any harder. Yeah. It's true. It's not just being braggadocious. It's true. When you look at the facts, it's true. We got something really special.
100%, man. Actually, going back to legacy finance, you mentioned something on that stream the other day. You said is it your neighbor is a financial advisor?
Yes, my next door neighbor is the financial advisor.
Have you onboarded him into crypto or Hex?
I have. I got him. He knew about crypto, just the basics of it, but I have onboarded him into Hex. But even speaking to someone for literally hours, one-on-one, it's sometimes not enough for them to come back and say, can I learn more about Hex? Or how can I look into other videos? It's just, okay, I'll take a chance and buy whatever he did buy, but it's not a lot. It's probably hundreds of dollars worth of Hex. And I don't know if he staked. It's difficult. Someone like that who lived your entire life in the fiat world, it's difficult. Even if you've got a fantastic product with someone you trust telling you about it, it's hard to take that lead, you know? It's painful too. Because I look at that and other people that I've talked about over the years, and I look back like, man, I told you about Hex when it was a fraction of a penny or 1 or 2 pennies. And, you know, now you get them come out of the woodwork, especially when we hit all-time highs. You know, they come back and they'll call me or text me and say, oh, I wish I'd have gotten to Hex. And it's sad because the people that are in that position, when Pulse comes out, they will hear about all of this in crypto in general, and Hex and Pulse, and so many of these products are going to be at the top. When you go to Nomics or CoinMarketCap in a couple of years from now, I will not be surprised if it's Pulse, PulseX, you know, all these products Richard created, Hex, eHex, and pHex, if they're in all of the top 10, and we see Bitcoin or Ethereum somewhere, you know, underneath some of these things that Richard created, I'm not going to be surprised at all. But it's going to be painful for people who did hear about this and didn't at least do the research. And if someone is new to crypto and this is the first time you're watching crypto, you're interested in Hex from this specific video, man, do yourself a favor and reach out to someone, myself or Matt or anybody else in the Hex and Pulse community, because we really want to help people. There's no arterial motive to, you know, to pump our bags and then get out and try to hurt you. We really do want to help people. And that's something unique to Hex and Pulse.
Absolutely. Most Hexicans are here for 15 years. You know what I mean? So it's far from just, oh, I'm waiting for the next all-time high and then I'm gone. And going back to what you said, you know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And it's hard because you can see the future because you know where it's been and where it's going. But the more you try and push someone into it, the more they kind of like, oh, this is weird. Like, stop going on about it.
Yep.
So it really is hard. For my family, a lot of them, I just got treasures for them and took their money. and
I'm the same way. My immediate family still, they're like, I don't know, man. Just here, they say, here's $1,000. Please put into this or put into that. They still don't want to take the time to learn these things because it's so foreign. It's so much easier to work at your job and put in 40 or 50 hours a week and save a little bit here and there and do your 401k. But the returns, it's just night and day. It's hard to even compare returns when you're talking about 30%, 38% APY to a 5 or 6% per year. You're looking at the best case scenario. It's sad because you really want to help people. And we know the value. It's like, I have this thing that I know is valuable and I know is great. And you guys are working so hard. And it's tough, man. It's tough putting 40, 50, 60 hours a week at a job because not only you're doing something that's difficult and takes up your time, you're away from your family, away from your kids. It's so amazing to free up your time. And when I was working, I thought about that or how much I would enjoy getting my time back. But until I did, it's so much better than you think. So when you hear something like this, it's really worthwhile to take a chance and at least look into this and do as much research as you can to get in early, because this is 2 years old, but it's still super early. 12-cent Hex in a non-released pulse chain yet. You got to look into it, man. It's no better time right now. You're still super early.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think a lot of people, you know, if they just took an evening to learn how MetaMask works, right, and this and that, but they want to just watch Netflix or, you know, go drinking with their buddies. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say be a killjoy and never have, you know, anything enjoyable. But what's that saying? That is it Jocko Willink? You know, that Navy SEAL.
He's great.
Discipline equals freedom, and it's so true because if you actually just apply yourself to something and learn about it and know how it works, then you can get out of the rat race or you can get out of, you know, the ruts that most people are in. But that's why, you know, me and you and people who are watching this stream are a bit different because we know there was something more out there than the 9 to 5 and the retirement at 65 and doing a job you don't enjoy. It's just, yeah, I think we need to bridge that gap between the masses where, you know, literally you're going to work all your life and your money is going to be whittled away from inflation anyway. So by the time you get your hands on it, is it even going to be worth, you know, a quarter of what you thought it was going to be worth? And then obviously you're wasting time. You're not spending time with your loved ones and doing things you want to do. So I think crypto, like Richard says, like learn this one thing, right? Learn this one thing that has the highest ROI ever in the history of man. And you can really have that freedom.
It's funny. You mentioned hard work and it's really, really important. And it feels like it's easier now because you mentioned MetaMask. People can go to YouTube and watch really good content creators in our community, especially, and they walk through, here's MetaMask, here's how to change things. It's so much easier in trying to figure this stuff out for yourself and, you know, not knowing the importance of seed words and not putting on your computer, even if it's encrypted and hardware wallets and stuff. This stuff is spelled out for you. Papa B has like this whole course from soup to nuts, he calls it, teaching you about security. I would have killed for that 5 or 6 years ago. It's really, really important. And, you know, like you said with Jocko, hard work is, I don't know if you can put an importance on that because I remember days in 2014 and 15. I remember exactly where I was. I was working at a hospital, and I was in one room, and it was literally a room. My bed was in a room. Everything was in there. I had a closet and a bed. I was sharing a bathroom and a sink with somebody else. So I was isolated, and I would go to work, and I'd do 45 hours a week. And then when I got home, I would eat something, whatever I could find. And then I would sit until about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning every single day, 7 days a week, just trying to learn about crypto and studying and read Medium articles, watching hundreds of YouTube videos until I would sit and nod off. And then I would have to just go to sleep. So you got to put your dues in. But now the difference is putting the dues is so much easier because the products are here. The great crypto is here. And when you're looking at, years ago when it was hundreds or in thousands of cryptos, you didn't know what was going to work. So you just tried a bunch of stuff and you got scammed and you got hurt. But now you're so lucky, man. People get into this to learn about, great cryptos, true decentralization that really works with Hex and Pulse and this ecosystem. Hard work, it does. I got like a little thing right here on my, look at that. It says hard work equals success.
Oh, 100%.
So it's really close to what Jocko was saying. It's on my light on my computer every day. So, but the difference is you don't have to sit up until 3 a.m. and look through 100 different cryptos, deciding on, reading a white paper and to see if something's going to work when you've got this community to feed off of and ask questions and to research. If you could research just 3 or 4 products in Hex and Pulse, it's so much better than trying to research hundreds.
Yeah, if you just stop watching Netflix, for a few months, and at nighttime you watched the Hex and Pulse stuff and found out about how to use a Trezor or a Ledger, within a few months you'd know what's going on. The issue is a lot of people, I guess they're lazy, and it does boil down to how much do you want it. I had B Roots on the other day, and he was saying the same thing. He would work all day, like you, come home and then be up till 1, 2 a.m. Watching videos and watching charts and learning how things worked. And of course, you're not going to, well, actually, I'm going to say you can't shortcut it, but with what's going on now compared to what you had to go through in 2013 and 14 and what he was doing as well, there's still some hard work ahead of you, but there's still, it's not going to be a long, treacherous road like a lot of people had to go on. So yeah, it takes time. It takes effort. Anything in life worthwhile takes, as Richard says, delayed gratification and effort. And if you're watching this, then reach out to people on Twitter and, put the work in, watch the videos, because you really could change your life with crypto.
Yeah. And it's hard to, I guess, stress that enough that, there are people in a community in cryptos that actually work right now. I know it's hard when people first hear about this. They may think, well, we're just here to pump in our own bags. You may be biased toward Hex. It's true. I am biased to Hex and Pulse, and I've almost gotten rid of almost every other crypto. There was times when I had, I don't know, 50 or 60 different cryptos. And there were rides in 2017 and early, like January, February of 2018, when I looked at a portfolio of crypto that I bought for sometimes pennies, put a few $100 or a couple $1,000s in something that I really studied and researched. During that pump, the portfolio was like $500,000. To me, it was like, oh my God, this is life-changing, crazy wealth. And then boom, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, crash 2018. All of those alts, all those ones with no use cases went to almost zero. And I've still got a few of those just kind of hanging on to them, but they're not worth anything, a few $100. But Hex is different. Pulse is different. This community is different. I talk about community all the time because I've been in other communities, but Hex and Pulse is really, really special. And it's hard to not talk about that enough because people get into other communities and get into other cryptocurrencies and think that community is great, or this, Ripple or Doge or whatever is this great crypto, but they're not. They're just in it. People talk about this and hype it up, and you see it on Robinhood and Twitter. That doesn't make a good crypto. What makes a good crypto is what we talk about, what Richard talks about. So if you go to his YouTube channel and it's a lot of content. Sometimes a guy can go for 5 or 6 hours, but if you really want to do this and you want to change your life, go to his channel, man. Look into the videos, put it on 1.5 speed and just watch, absorb content, and then make decisions.
Yeah. And now, like, I've got my AirPods. Every time I work out, I'm listening to crypto stuff. When I'm walking, out in the park, I'm listening to crypto stuff. And that's how I learn as well, So you got to put in the time. But let's bring it back to PulseChain a bit, because you were, obviously we're both super excited. And, I don't want to put you on the spot, but everyone loves a kind of prediction. What do you think it could do short-term and long-term, for Pulse, the actual token?
Oh, man. I think I'm too bullish, honestly. I was on with Crypto Heartbeat and maybe just a few days ago, and he asked 4 of us, I think it was me and Rags to Riches and Crypto Panda. It was 4 of us, and he went around the wheel and asked about our Pulse, our predictions about Pulse. And I think I said like $2 for Pulse in the next year or two. And then
Wow.
I got off the stream. I'm like, maybe I'm being a little too generous with that, but I really think that once Pulse is launched and it works correctly and the price appreciation starts to go up and people don't sell, there's so many factors in play for a bullish run. And just like Bitcoin or anything that has a bullish run, once you hear about it and it starts to go, like I mentioned, one of the early years of crypto or Bitcoin, when I got into it, it fluctuated from $125 to $1,200 just in 1 year. And that big run in 2017, I think it was just over $1,000 at its low and went to almost 20K, like 19.9 or something.
Yeah.
That's 1 year, $1,000 to almost 20K. That's a huge ride in 1 year. Pulse is better. The community's better. It's faster. It's cheaper. I don't know what's holding Pulse back. So if it does kind of a hex thing and you go from 10 cent to 50 cent really fast, what if Pulse hovers around that 5 or 6 cent range, and then within a 6 months time period, if a lot of people start looking at this and it takes a crazy pump? I mean, I don't know if it'll stay at $2, but man, I would love to see $1.50 or $2 in the first year and a half.
That would be nuts, man. That would mint so many new millionaires. But
But what the market cap would be, though, I got off that stream. I'm like, man, if Pulse hits $1.50 or $2 with that kind of token supply, the market cap would be just stupid. So, like I said, maybe I'm just too.
But we know that's not real, though, right? We know it's just a vanity metric.
It's in my head. I always think in terms of a $1 trillion market cap just seems crazy. But I mean, even Hex, I mean, it jumps around from, we've seen 10 billion all the way to what, 33 billion that's worth. And it seems like nothing. If Hex jumps up to 50 cent in the next couple of weeks, it wouldn't faze me at all. It's just these things are in the game. So a big pump from 50 cent to $1.50, I don't think it's that big of a deal over a 6-month period when people are just pouring into this. And the things, the pumpamentals and liquid loan stuff, it's going to make Hex pump, especially when there's vehicles and things we can use to not sell our Pulse. And that's where the catalyst for this is. The bullish price that I feel is that added value of not selling your Pulse and still being able to extract value and pay your bills and get loans. That's huge, man. It's never been done before. And that's why I think it's going to pump and pump crazy. Because if it does start to pump and you can extract that value, do you ever need to sell your Pulse? And if you do, that taxable event is going to crush.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, anything's possible, right? Like, obviously, people are giving like, oh, maybe a penny in the first year. But really, any asset is what people are willing to pay, right? And what the next guy is willing to pay for it and what value is put on it. And obviously, I'm biased because, this is liquid loans. Of course, we're all about never selling. But even if I wasn't, a part of liquid loans, not selling a good asset is a good idea, no matter what it is, right? Whether it's a Malibu on the a house in Malibu on the beach, or whether it's something that's been shown to be better, and as we know, it's going to be cheaper, faster, more efficient than Ethereum. It's just mind blowing, man. Where you think it could go? Who knows?
What are you thinking, Matt? Like a year from now, like summer of 23. What do you think is the bullish?
23? Yeah, I'm thinking in the pennies, because I don't get me wrong. I get moon boyish, and I'm like, man, how can it not hit $1, right? When Ethereum, with its gas fees and all its issues, I think we see multiple dollars if we wait long enough. But in the summer 2023, I think some people are saying, a penny in a year. I think we're way over a penny in a year. I think we're way over that. I think at least 10 cents in a year.
Wow. Yeah. Even 10 cent, I would be ecstatic because I mean, I know that there's a lot of people, thousands and thousands of people that are on the Ethereum side that are going to get that copy over on Pulse. And you can play a lot with those pools and liquidity providers. If you understand crypto, that's got to be a big incentive to at least look into PulseChain, because you're going to get that free copy on the other side. Because I just think we get a lot more positive things coming over to Pulse that are basically free money. So even if you're leery of Richard Hart, for whatever reason, you at least want to try Pulse and try this ecosystem. If you got, 5 million SHIB, Chainlink or whatever, and you get that copy on Pulse, the idea of at least coming over here and looking and seeing what your SHIB is worth or what can you do and the liquidity stuff, it's going to be really attractive to some people. So it's going to introduce people and open the door to buy Pulse which is only going to, crank up the expectations of possibly going on the bull run. But when it does, I think the FOMO is going to be crazy with Pulse.
It's going to be bananas, man. And we haven't even talked about NFTs and, obviously, like you said, everyone
That's
getting their
right.
copies. It's genius. It really, obviously, what do you expect from Richard Hart? But, the full system state copy, never been done before. It really is going to be something. It's going to be something to behold for sure. But what about you, man? Bring it back to you. What are your goals, in life, in your content, in crypto? What are your goals for the near and far future?
I really want to do something similar to what the Crypto Heartbeat's doing, or we're kind of teaming together. I'm gonna, kind of give him my resources and my influence or whatever that may be, whether how big or how small. And I talked to him. I love what he's doing. He's got this line of generosity and compassion, and I want to give back to people. I want to help others. Now that my time is freed up and I can look at people who are maybe not into crypto, or you haven't been as fortunate as us in this crypto community, I really want to figure out ways that we can give back. And he talks about this compassion cartel and the Pulse promise, the idea of getting 1,000 people to literally say, hey, I got $100 worth of Pulse, and I'm going to kind of earmark this for something better. And we figure out these things of what is this something better along the line. But if 1,000 people do about $100, I think he was saying it's $1 billion of mass that we can put into doing good things. So I want to do something like that. I really want to help him and his community grow, and to get as many Hex and PulseCans to make promises, to earmark a little tiny bit of what we've got. But the numbers is what's the key. If we have thousands of us all coming together for a common goal and to figure out problems and ways to help each other, we can make a really, really big difference to people. And, you mentioned NFTs. That's going to be really fun for people who, if you're big into NFTs and you're paying these crazy gas fees, Ethereum, blockchain, and OpenSea, or wherever you're doing it, it's really hard to buy NFTs. It's hard to invest in this. So I've spoken to numerous artists who are real people and actually creating great work, not just like clip art and you're trying to sell it for whatever. I like the NFTs. I know Richard is not a big fan of NFTs, but I like NFTs because I want to see artists be successful. And I like the idea of NFTs, but if we have to just bleed NFTs and Hex or Pulse or crypto from just the Hex community, it's not going to work. So, you mentioned something I'm doing. I'm doing something called Liftoff, and it's this crypto world, an NFT world. Me and two friends are doing this thing, and the artist, his name is Silent Night, and he actually physically draws art. And we got this first one, the genesis of Liftoff, coming out as soon as PulseChain goes live. We're launching exclusively on Mintra, Gerardo's NFT site.
Cool.
Yeah, his marketplace. So we're going with them exclusively, and we're launching something called the Hex King. And it's going to be fun, man. It's 369 of them. And we want to, our purpose was to create this Game of Thrones medieval world, telling the history of crypto from Satoshi, this wizard, all the way through, Ethereum, altcoins, and then to Richard Hart, this king on his velvet throne with the watches spinning and the candelabra. We want to show that to people because our goal was to grab the NFT world that doesn't know about Hex, but loves NFTs, and bridge them into Hex and Pulse and this community we've got using the NFTs of Hex. So if we can grab them and pull them into crypto and introduce them to it with Hex and Pulse, that's it's going to save them a lot of heartbreak and fails.
Oh, that's awesome, man. It's great to hear you creating something, obviously involved with Crypto Heartbeat and have this NFT project. Listen, man, this has been awesome. This has been great, man. I really appreciate your time coming on the channel. Where can people find out more about you and your content?
I'm on Twitter. You can get me at Real Matty Crypto. You can reach out to me anytime. I'll talk to you, answer any questions you've got. On Telegram at Matty Crypto, and you can reach me. Both of those ways are probably the best way to reach me. But I just want people to be successful, man. I want you to find out what you really, really like in life. Surround yourself with great people, and then get into crypto. Get into crypto, learn about it, and surround yourself with these kind of people, Hex and Pulse, content creators, because like I said, this community is super generous. I've never seen anything like this where you can reach out to someone, and even if you don't feel like you should trust them, a lot of us really want the best for you. There's nothing in our mind saying, if you ask me this, I'm going to brush you off, or you talk about other crypto, I'm going to brush you off. I really want people to learn about Hex and Pulse in this community. So I'm an open book. You're an open book. We mentioned Crypto Heartbeat and K4K, and a lot of these guys, there's a lot of great friendly faces in crypto with Hex and Pulse. So I'm just happy to be a part of this. And I'm happy you got me on the channel, man. It's been, I mean, this hour flew by, man. I love it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. Like I said, your advice is great. Your energy is infectious. And what you just said there is so true. You need to, be positive and reach out and learn and do good stuff in the world. So I do really appreciate your time, man. And you'll have to come back on again sometime soon.
I look forward to it, man. Thanks for having me on. And you're close to 5,000 subs, man. And I think only 3 months time. So hats off to you. You're providing great content. So I'll
Thanks,
come on
man.
anytime, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for doing what you do.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right,
Cheers,
man.
Matty.
Have a great day.
Thanks. Guys, if you're not hyped up after all that positivity and his energy is just surely infectious, then I don't know what to do with you. But take Matty's advice, learn more about PulseChain and Hex if you don't know about it. Obviously, lots of good YouTube channels, lots of good content creators out there. And also, if you like our content, do hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you're notified every time we drop new videos and content on the channel. You can also share this video with someone who you think it may benefit. Maybe tap the like button. And if you're watching the playback, drop a comment below for the algo. It does help us out. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you're having a great week, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.